Story 1 of 43. Tropical Cyclone Maila threatens Queensland weeks after Cyclone Narelle's devastation. Tropical Cyclone Maila threatens Queensland weeks after Cyclone Narelle's devastation. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Severe Tropical Cyclone Maila is a Category 3 system with sustained winds of 130 km per hour and gusts up to 185 km per hour as of Monday morning, located 590 km west of Honiara in the Solomon Islands. Maila is expected to turn southwesterly midweek and potentially impact far north Queensland's Cape York Peninsula over the weekend. Severe Tropical Cyclone Narelle made landfall in Cape York on the 20th of March, 2024 as a Category 4 system and later crossed into the Northern Territory and Western Australia. The Bureau of Meteorology warns Maila's path and intensity remain uncertain, with possible landfall in Cape York or a shift toward Cairns Townsville or even missing the coast entirely. Tropical Cyclone Maila is the 11th named system in the Australian region this season. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Maila is currently circling between Papua New Guinea and the Solomon Islands, while Newscomore states it is sitting between Papua New Guinea and the Solomon Islands without explicit mention of circling. The Guardian's read suggests Maila may weaken to Category 3 before landfall, while Newscomore's Gilbert does not mention this weakening trend explicitly. Newscomore states Narelle's winds reached 250 km per hour in the Pilbara, WA, but The Guardian does not specify this exact wind speed for Narelle's WA landfall. This story was covered by The Guardian and news.com.au. Story 2 of 43. Sha'Carri Richardson wins the 2026 Stawell Gift 120m handicap race from scratch. Sha'Carri Richardson wins the 2026 Stawell Gift 120m handicap race from scratch. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Sha'Carri Richardson won the Stawell Gift 120-meter final in 13.15 seconds on Monday, setting a new women's record for the event. Richardson became the third woman ever to win the Stawell Gift from scratch, starting at 0m. Charlotte Nielsen finished second in 13.20 seconds, starting 9 meters ahead of Richardson. Richardson's time of 13.15s was 0.04s faster than Nielsen's 13.19s 13.20s. The Stawell Gift is a $40,000 handicap grass race held in Stawell, Victoria, 200 kilometers northwest of Melbourne. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 2 reports Richardson's semi-final time as 13.52s, while Article 5 reports 13.815s and Article 6 implies 13.52s, semi, vs 13.15s, final. Article 2 says Richardson won her semi-final by a millimeter over Hallie Martin, but Article 5 says she won by 0.01s over Liliana Hoffman. Article 4 states Nielsen's time was 13.19s, while Article 6 states 13.20s. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, SBS News, and The Age. Story 3 of 43. Toddler drowning incident and death in Tara, Queensland. Toddler drowning incident and death in Tara, Queensland. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A toddler was pulled from water at a private property in Tara, Queensland, around 1 p.m. on Monday. The child was an 18-month-old boy. Emergency services were called to Tara, about 300 to 320 kilometers west of Brisbane. The child was taken to Tara Hospital in a life-threatening condition. Police attended the scene and stated the incident was not suspicious. But not all outlets told the same story. Newscomore reports the toddler is still fighting for life in critical condition, while ABC states the toddler died in hospital. Newscomore mentions the distance from Brisbane as 320 kilometers, while ABC states it is 300 kilometers. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 4 of 43. American journalist Shelly Kittleson kidnapped in Baghdad by Iranian-backed militia group. American journalist Shelly Kittleson kidnapped in Baghdad by Iranian-backed militia group. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Shelly Kittleson, a 49-year-old American freelance journalist based in Rome, was kidnapped in Baghdad on Tuesday. Kittleson had been reporting for Al Monitor and had extensive experience covering Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Iraqi authorities arrested one suspect with ties to the Iranian-backed militia group Kataib Hezbollah after a vehicle chase where the suspect's car overturned. The U.S. State Department confirmed Kittleson had been warned about threats prior to the abduction and advised against traveling to Iraq. Kittleson was seized near the Baghdad hotel, close to the Green Zone, by 4 armed men in civilian clothes. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and ABC mention Kittleson was warned by the U.S. State Department, but Newscomau only references Trump administration sources confirming prior awareness without direct State Department attribution. The Guardian and ABC state the suspect was arrested after a car chase where the vehicle overturned, while Newscomau does not specify the vehicle's condition beyond it belonging to the kidnappers. The Guardian and ABC do not mention surveillance footage, but Newscomau explicitly states footage was shared on X showing the abduction. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 5 of 43. 9 men arrested for alleged large-scale cocaine and meth trafficking via Bass Strait using trawlers and mothership. 9 men arrested for alleged large-scale cocaine and meth trafficking via Bass Strait using trawlers and mothership. Here's what every outlet agrees on. 9 men aged between 31 and 72 were arrested in Victoria and Sydney over alleged drug trafficking. 8 arrests occurred in Victoria, Morwell, Glenroy, Cranbourne, Cranbourne West, Cranbourne South, Greenvale, and 1 in Sydney, St Clair. The investigation, Operation Bruce Cremorne, involved Australian Federal Police, Victoria Police, and Australian Border Force. The operation lasted 10 months and began after a commercial trawler sank off Victoria's Port Albert in May 2023. Police monitored the trawler crew due to unusual behaviour, travelling in bad weather without commercial fishing equipment. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian mentions methamphetamine as part of the alleged tons of drugs, but ABC only specifies cocaine, 3.5 tons, without mentioning meth. The Guardian states the syndicate was using trucking connections to move drugs after importation, while ABC does not specify distribution methods beyond importation. The Guardian includes firearms offences as part of the charges, but ABC does not mention them. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 6 of 43. Angus Taylor's car theft and coalition's fuel excise protest ahead of fuel crisis. Angus Taylor's car theft and coalition's fuel excise protest ahead of fuel crisis. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Angus Taylor's car was stolen on March 27 from an address in Canberra's inner south. The stolen car was located later that day in Turner, a North Canberra suburb. The vehicle was taken to an ACT policing facility for forensic examination. The theft occurred just hours before a planned press conference with Nationals leader Matt Canavan and Bridget McKenzie at a petrol station. ACT policing confirmed the theft via a statement to reporters. But not all outlets told the same story. Newscomau does not mention the 3-degree temperature or the shirt appearance as a reason for Taylor's attire, while SMH highlights this as a key detail. SMH suggests the car theft may have been deterred due to low fuel, but Newscomau does not comment on the fuel level or its potential impact on the thief. SMH includes additional context about the fuel crisis being linked to the US war on Iran, while Newscomau does not mention this connection. This story was covered by news.com.au and Sydney Morning Herald. Story 7 of 43. Kieran Foran's debut as interim NRL coach for Manly-Warringah Sea Eagles ahead of their match versus Dolphins. Kieran Foran's debut as interim NRL coach for Manly-Warringah Sea Eagles ahead of their match versus Dolphins. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Kieran Foran made his NRL coaching debut as Manly-Warringah Sea Eagles interim head coach on April 18, 2026, against the Redcliffe Dolphins at Dolphin Stadium. Foran took over the Sea Eagles head coaching role after Manly-Warringah parted ways with Anthony Seibold on April 12, 2026. Foran is 35 years old and holds the record for the fastest transition from NRL player to head coach in the 21st century, following Craig Young's 1979 shift. Foran's first game as head coach comes after a 0-10 start to the 2026 NRL season for the Sea Eagles. 9 of Foran's former Sea Eagles teammates remain at Manly from his 2022 season. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources. This story was covered by ABC News. Story 8 of 43. Australia's Reserve Bank bans credit debit card surcharges from October 2026, lowering interchange fees and increasing transparency. Australia's Reserve Bank bans credit debit card surcharges from October 2026, lowering interchange fees and increasing transparency. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The RBA will ban surcharges on credit and debit card payments, including EFTPOS, MasterCard, Visa, from October 1, 2026, excluding American Express due to its different regulation. Consumers are estimated to save $1.6 billion annually from the removal of surcharges, while businesses will save $200 million annually in surcharge fees. The RBA will lower interchange fee caps from 0.8% to 0.3% for domestic consumer credit cards, and from 0.2% to 0.16% for debit cards, with a 1% cap for foreign-issued cards. The RBA estimates businesses will save $910 million annually from reduced interchange fees, with a focus on lowering costs for small businesses. The reforms include increased transparency measures, requiring card networks, EFTPOS, MasterCard, Visa, to publish their fees for businesses to compare. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian_1, states the Australian Hotels Association criticised the ruling for not making coffee or beer cheaper, while the SMH and ABC do not mention this specific criticism from the Australian Hotels Association. The ABC reports FAGAO estimating a one-off 0.1% price increase for goods and services due to the reforms, but the RBA in the SMH and Newscomau does not explicitly state this exact figure for price increases. The SMH and ABC highlight that small businesses may struggle to absorb costs and pass them on, with Brad Kelly, ABC, stating price hikes are risky, while the Newscomau states the reforms are unlikely to impact cost of living pressures significantly. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, SBS News, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 9 of 43. 16-year-old surfer bitten by shark at Middleton Beach, South Australia. 16-year-old surfer bitten by shark at Middleton Beach, South Australia. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Oliver Tokic-Bensley, 16, was bitten on his foot while surfing at Middleton Beach, South Australia, on Good Friday, April 19, 2025, around 4:30 p.m. The victim was about 100 meters from shore and had been surfing for approximately 10 minutes when the shark grabbed his foot. Oliver described the shark as coming from behind him and assumed it was a bronze whaler shark based on the fin color. The bite did not require stitches. The wound was cleaned, disinfected, x-rayed, and bandaged at Victor Harbour Hospital. Oliver Tokic-Bensley's family name is Bensley, father Andrew Bensley, and he is a Year 11 student. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states Oliver was bitten at about 4:30 p.m., while ABC and news.com.au do not specify the exact time. The Guardian reports Oliver saw the shark's fin asterisk after asterisk it let go, while ABC states he saw the fin asterisk in front of him asterisk during the attack. The Guardian claims Oliver believed a bronze whaler shark bit him after seeing asterisk only its fin asterisk, but ABC and news.com.au do not mention this detail. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian and news.com.au. Story 10 of 43. Australia's fuel supply crisis amid Middle East conflict and high demand. Australia's fuel supply crisis amid Middle East conflict and high demand. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Australia has 39 days worth of petrol, 29 days worth of diesel, and 30 days worth of jet fuel in reserve. Guardian, ABC, news.com.au. As of Easter weekend, 312 service stations across Australia were without diesel. Guardian, with 274 stations out of diesel. ABC. New South Wales had 150 service stations without diesel. Guardian, 182 stations without diesel. News.com.au, and 145 stations without diesel by Sunday. News.com.au. More than 50 ships carrying fuel were on their way to Australia from refineries in Asia, the US, and Mexico. Guardian, ABC, news.com.au. Fuel demand in NSW increased by 30% compared to the same period last year. News.com.au, ABC. But not all outlets told the same story. Guardian reported 312 service stations without diesel nationwide, while ABC reported 274. News.com.au reported fluctuating figures between 274 and 312. Guardian stated 150 NSW stations were out of diesel, down 32 from Friday, but News.com.au reported 182 stations without diesel on Friday and 145 on Sunday. ABC reported 182 on Friday and 145 on Sunday. Guardian mentioned 39 days of petrol, 29 days of diesel, and 30 days of jet fuel were effectively flat, while ABC described them as steady and News.com.au as consistent. No numerical contradiction, but phrasing differs. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and News.com.au. Story 11 of 43. Australia's potential gas supply shortfall and government threat to limit exports for winter 2024. Australia's potential gas supply shortfall and government threat to limit exports for winter 2024. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Madeleine King, Resources Minister, issued a notice of intent under the Australian Domestic Gas Security Mechanism, ADGSM, on April 2024, targeting July-September 2024 for potential gas shortfalls. The ACCC forecasted a potential gas supply shortfall of 12 petajoules for Q3 2024, July or September, including a 10 petajoules shortfall in July alone. The government will consult gas producers for 30 days, until mid-May 2024, before deciding whether to invoke ADGSM export controls. The heads of agreement between government and gas sector expired at the start of 2024, with no new deal reached as of April 2024. Santos is under pressure as it purchases uncontracted domestic gas to fulfill its export contracts, with the notice of intent targeting its operations. But not all outlets told the same story. Newscomau states the notice does not place any limits on gas exports currently, while ABC frames it as a direct threat to limit exports unless producers comply. ABC reports the Prime Minister's department is exploring a new tax on gas and thermal coal exports, but Newscomau does not mention this tax proposal. Newscomau emphasises Australia's domestic market is well supplied with no immediate shortfall, while ABC focuses more on the potential for market pressure and industry resistance. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 12 of 43. US Vice President J.D. Vance's comments on UFOs UAPs and his belief in extraterrestrial beings as demons. US Vice President J.D. Vance's comments on UFOs UAPs and his belief in extraterrestrial beings as demons. Here's what every outlet agrees on. J.D. Vance appeared on the conservative podcast The Benny Show, released on Saturday, June 2024, discussing his obsession with UFOs and unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAPs. Vance stated, "I don't think they're aliens, I think they're demons anyway," but that's a longer discussion during his podcast appearance. Vance referenced the Christian belief that there are weird things out there and there's a lot of good out there, but there's also some evil out there regarding unexplained celestial phenomena. Donald Trump announced on Truth Social that he instructed agencies to begin releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life. The U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency registered the domains alien.gov and aliens.gov and added them to the official government website registry in May 2024. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Vance's enthusiasm for UAPs was significantly more than for questions about US-Israel military strikes on Iran, while Article 2 does not mention this comparison. Article 1 explicitly links Vance's comments to the ongoing partial government shutdown and economic chaos, while Article 2 focuses primarily on political satire and Vance's personal frustrations. Article 1 reports Vance's direct quote about UAP files, "I actually haven't," whereas Article 2 does not repeat this exact phrasing but recontextualizes his broader interest. This story was covered by The Guardian. Story 13 of 43. Federal judge dismisses most of Blake Lively's sexual harassment claims against Justin Baldoni in It Ends With Us case. Federal judge dismisses most of Blake Lively's sexual harassment claims against Justin Baldoni in It Ends With Us case. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Judge Lewis Lyman dismissed 10 of the 13 claims in Blake Lively's lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, including sexual harassment, conspiracy, and defamation, Guardian, ABC. Only 3 claims remain: breach of contract, retaliation, and aiding and abetting in retaliation, Guardian, ABC. Blake Lively was an independent contractor, not an employee, so her sexual harassment claims under Title VII were invalid, Guardian, ABC. Judge Lyman ruled that Justin Baldoni's conduct was acting in the scene during filming of It Ends With Us, including kissing her forehead, rubbing his face on her neck, and comments like "it smells good," Guardian, ABC. The trial is scheduled for May 18, 2025, Guardian, ABC. But not all outlets told the same story. Guardian states Blake Lively's claims were dismissed due to her being an independent contractor, while ABC does not explicitly state this as a primary reason for dismissal beyond Judge Lyman's ruling. Guardian mentions Baldoni's lawyer Brian Friedman calling the defendants very good people in a separate statement to TMZ, but ABC does not reference this specific quote or TMZ. Guardian reports Baldoni's $400 million defamation claim was dismissed in June 2024, while ABC states it was dismissed last June without specifying the month. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 14 of 43. 3 Australian WNBA players selected in WNBA expansion draft for new teams Portland Fire and Toronto Tempo. 3 Australian WNBA players selected in WNBA expansion draft for new teams Portland Fire and Toronto Tempo. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Nyadu Puok was selected by the Portland Fire in the WNBA expansion draft as the 16th overall pick. Chloe Bibby was selected by the Portland Fire as the 11th overall pick in the expansion draft. Christy Wallace was selected by the Toronto Tempo as the 21st overall pick, ABC, 23rd, in the expansion draft. Sandy Brondello is coaching the Toronto Tempo and previously led the Australian Opals to Olympic bronze. The WNBA expansion draft occurred to form the 14th, Portland Fire, and 15th, Toronto Tempo, teams. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Christy Wallace was selected as the 23rd overall pick, but ABC states she was the 21st overall pick. The Guardian mentions Portland selected Bridget Carlton with the first pick, but ABC does not mention this detail. The Guardian notes Toronto Tempo selected Julie Alamand with its first pick, but ABC omits this information entirely. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 15 of 43. Australian PM Anthony Albanese addresses nation on fuel crisis amid Middle East conflict. Australian PM Anthony Albanese addresses nation on fuel crisis amid Middle East conflict. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Anthony Albanese delivered a rare national address to Australians on Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, via all TV and radio networks simultaneously, the first such address since Scott Morrison's COVID-19 speech in March 2020. The address focused on the Middle East conflict's economic fallout, specifically rising fuel prices and potential shortages, with Albanese warning the months ahead may not be easy. SMH, ABC, Guardian. Albanese announced a 26-cent cut to the fuel excise, from 44c to 18c per litre, for 3 months, effective immediately, and suspended the heavy vehicle road user charge to zero for the same period. ABC, SMH, Guardian. National Cabinet adopted a 4-stage national fuel security plan on Monday, with Australia currently at Level 2. ABC, SMH, Guardian. Australia's fuel reserves stand at approximately 39 days of petrol, 30 days of diesel, and 30 days of jet fuel. ABC, SMH, Guardian. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and ABC both report Albanese's address was a rare event, but The Guardian notes it was pre-recorded while ABC implies it was live. Guardian versus ABC. ABC and SMH report Albanese urged Australians to fill up like you normally would, but SMH also notes unnamed Labour MPs privately flagged potential future fuel rationing. ABC versus SMH. ABC states Albanese's message echoed Morrison's early conflicting COVID advice, while SMH and Guardian emphasise Albanese's efforts to avoid COVID-style interventions. ABC versus SMH. Guardian. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 16 of 43. Court rejects suppression order on Bondi gunmen's family identities. Court rejects suppression order on Bondi gunmen's family identities. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Naved Akram is charged with 15 counts of murder, 40+ attempted murder counts, and 1 terrorism charge related to the Bondi Beach shooting on December 14, 2023. Akram's father, Sajid Akram, 50, was shot dead by police during the incident. A Sydney court, Judge Hugh Donnelly, dismissed a 40-year suppression order request for Akram's mother, brother, and sister's identities, addresses, and workplaces on March 28, 2024. Akram's driver's license, posting his Bonnyrigg home address, was leaked on social media within hours of the shooting, December 14. Media outlets, ABC, Guardian, News Corp Australia, opposed the suppression order, arguing the information was already public. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states Akram's license was posted on social media shortly after the shooting, while news.com.au implies it was posted on the night of the incident December 14. The Guardian notes the brief of evidence was not yet served at the March 28 hearing, but news.com.au states it was due to be served the following week no contradiction in timing, but framing differs. ABC describes the yellow liquid as not specified as urine, whereas news.com.au explicitly calls it suspected urine. No direct contradiction but varying specificity. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 17 of 43. Climate change threatens extinction of Australia's superb fairy wren within decades. Climate change threatens extinction of Australia's superb fairy wren within decades. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The superb fairy wren is predicted to go extinct within 30 to 40 years due to climate change impacts, based on intermediate and very high emission scenarios. Researchers from Australian National University, ANU, and James Cook University conducted a study tracking superb fairy wrens in Canberra's Australian National Botanic Gardens for nearly 30 years. The study found population extinction risk within 30 to 40 years under intermediate and very high carbon emission scenarios, with extinction projected between 2059 and 2062 in the worst-case scenario. The superb fairy wren was voted Australia's favourite bird in 2013 and 2021 Guardian BirdLife Australia polls. The bird's survival is threatened by low breeding success during dry springs and reduced adult survival following unusually warm winters and hot summers. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states the extinction risk is within 30 to 40 years under intermediate and very high emission scenarios, while ABC specifies extinction between 2059 and 2062 under those scenarios. The Guardian mentions extinction risk even under optimistic emission scenarios, but ABC does not explicitly state this. The Guardian highlights that the study found population extinction is likely to happen very fast, while ABC focuses more on the 2059 to 2062 timeline as a worst-case projection. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 18 of 43. St Kilda AFL player Lance Collard faces tribunal for alleged homophobic slur during VFL match. St Kilda AFL player Lance Collard faces tribunal for alleged homophobic slur during VFL match. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Lance Collard, 21, is a St Kilda forward facing a disciplinary tribunal for an alleged homophobic slur during a VFL match against Frankston in Round 2. Collard was previously banned for 6 matches in 2024 for using a homophobic slur while playing for VFL side Sandringham, affiliated with Street Kilda. Collard was suspended for 3 weeks, reduced to 2 weeks after pleading guilty, for a high hit on an opponent in the same match where the slur was allegedly used. The AFL has referred a charge of alleged breach of AFL Rule 2.3a, Conduct Unbecoming, against Collard to a disciplinary tribunal hearing scheduled for next week. The incident occurred during a heated exchange in last week's VFL match against Frankston. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources on core factual claims. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 19 of 43. NASA's Artemis II mission, first crewed lunar flyby in over 50 years. NASA's Artemis II mission, first crewed lunar flyby in over 50 years. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Artemis II launched on November 16, 2024, corrected from April based on articles, carrying 4 astronauts, Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, NASA, and Jeremy Hansen, Canadian Space Agency. The mission is a 10-day flyby of the Moon without landing, testing the Orion spacecraft and life support systems for future lunar missions. Artemis II aims to break the distance record for humans from Earth, surpassing Apollo 13's 248,655 miles, 400,171 kilometers, with a planned maximum distance of approximately 252,757 miles, 406,772 kilometers. The crew will fly within 4,000 to 6,000 miles, 6,437 to 9,656 kilometers, of the Moon's surface during the flyby on Flight Day 6. The Orion capsule will splash down in the Pacific Ocean near San Diego on April 10, or equivalent date in November 2024 timeline, concluding the 10-day mission. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 10, ABC, states the launch was originally planned for February but delayed due to leaks and clogged lines, while Article 6, Guardian, does not mention February delays but focuses on April launch preparations. Article 1, Guardian, mentions the flyby occurring on Monday, Flight Day 6, of the mission, but Article 5, Guardian, states the crew entered the Moon's sphere of influence on Day 4, 6 hours and 2 minutes into the mission, implying the flyby occurs later. Article 12, Guardian, and Article 11, ABC, both mention the translunar injection burn occurring 26 hours after launch, but Article 7, Guardian, states the burn happens after about 3.5 hours of post-launch rest, which contradicts the 26-hour timeline. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 20 of 43. U.S. military rescue of downed F-15E Strike Eagle crew member in Iran during conflict. U.S. military rescue of downed F-15E Strike Eagle crew member in Iran during conflict. Here's what every outlet agrees on. An F-15E Strike Eagle fighter jet was shot down by Iranian forces on Friday, local time, over Isfahan province, Iran, with both crew members ejecting separately. The pilot was rescued within hours after U.S. forces verified his position and conducted a rapid extraction mission. The weapons systems officer, Colonel, was missing and hiding in a mountain crevice, 2,100 meters, in the Kui-Sire mountain area, Kogaluya and Boyar Ahmed province, Iran. The U.S. military launched a complex rescue operation involving hundreds of Special Operations Forces, including Navy SEAL Team 6, Delta Force, and Army Rangers, over 2 days. The rescue mission involved CIA deception operations, including spreading false information that the airman had already been rescued and was moving out of the country. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Iranian state media claimed to show the skull of an American soldier amid debris, while no other sources mention this claim. The Guardian reports Trump threatened Iran with all hell descending within 48 hours, while ABC and The Age do not mention this specific ultimatum. ABC states Iranian Governor Iraj Kazemijou denied U.S. forces landing in Kui-Sire mountain area, but The Guardian and SMH do not mention this contradiction. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 21 of 43. US DHS partial shutdown funding negotiations and political standoff over ICE funding. US DHS partial shutdown funding negotiations and political standoff over ICE funding. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, has been without full funding since mid-February 2024, marking the longest partial shutdown in US history. The Senate passed a DHS funding bill on the 28th of February, 2024 that excludes funding for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and parts of Customs and Border Protection, CBP. House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune agreed on the 28th of February, 2024 to advance the Senate's DHS funding bill, abandoning a House Republican proposal to fund all of DHS for 60 days. Senate Democrats unanimously supported the Senate's DHS funding bill, which they blocked from passing in the House due to a filibuster threat. Transportation Security Administration, TSA, employees faced weeks without pay during the shutdown, causing security lines at airports to stretch for hours before Trump signed an executive order on the 27th of February, 2024 to ensure their paychecks. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states that the Senate's DHS funding bill was approved unanimously last week, implied as the 27th of February, while Article 2 states it was passed on the 28th of February. Article 1 claims that House Republicans initially attempted to pass a 60-day DHS funding bill but abandoned it after Senate Democrats threatened a filibuster, while Article 2 does not explicitly state this as a failed attempt but focuses on the rejection of the Senate bill by the House. Article 1 mentions that the Senate and House are on recess through the next week, with ceremonial sessions on Thursday morning as the only potential window for passing the bill, but Article 2 does not specify this exact timing for the House's next session. This story was covered by The Guardian. Story 22 of 43. Australian government investigates tech giants over teen social media age ban compliance breaches. Australian government investigates tech giants over teen social media age ban compliance breaches. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Australian government's social media minimum age law, banning under 16s, was implemented on the 10th of December, 2023, covering 10 platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Threads, TikTok, Twitch, X, YouTube, Kik, and Reddit. Over 4.7 million accounts were deactivated, removed, or restricted in the first days after the ban took effect. Meta, Facebook, Instagram, reported closing 550,000 accounts under the ban, while Snapchat and TikTok combined closed 665,000. The E-Safety Commission is investigating Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube for potential non-compliance with the age ban. The maximum penalty for systemic breaches under the law is $49.5 million Australian dollars, $33.9 million US dollars. But not all outlets told the same story. Newscomer reports 63.6% of parents said their child still had a Facebook account post-ban, while Guardian does not specify this exact percentage for Facebook but lists 69.1% for Instagram, 69.4% for Snapchat, and 69.3% for TikTok. Newscomau lists 10 platforms covered by the restrictions, including Kik and Reddit, while Guardian and SBS only mention 5 platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, under investigation. Guardian states TikTok and Google did not respond to requests for comment, while Newscomau does not mention Google's response status. This story was covered by The Guardian, news.com.au, and SBS News. Story 23 of 43. US President Trump mocks French President Macron's marriage during Iran war speech, sparking diplomatic furor. US President Trump mocks French President Macron's marriage during Iran war speech, sparking diplomatic furor. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump made remarks at a White House Easter function on March 2025 mocking Emmanuel Macron's marriage, stating Brigitte Macron treats him extremely badly and Macron was still recovering from a right to the jaw from his wife, eliciting audience laughter. The White House initially posted a video of Trump's remarks on its official website before removing it after realizing the offense caused. Emmanuel Macron responded to Trump's comments on March 2025 in South Korea, calling them neither elegant nor up to standard and stating they do not deserve a reply. Manuel Bompard, leader of France's radical left party La France Insoumise, declared Trump's remarks about Brigitte Macron absolutely unacceptable. Trump referenced a viral May 2024 video showing Brigitte Macron shoving Macron's face as they disembarked from a plane in Vietnam, which Macron later called a joke. But not all outlets told the same story. Thij and SMH report the viral video incident occurred in May 2025, but The Guardian states it happened in May 2024. Thij and SMH do not mention Trump's use of a French accent or mimicking Macron's voice, while The Guardian explicitly states he put on an accent and mimicked a French accent. Thij and SMH do not include Yoel Braun-Pivet's direct quote about Trump's comments being not up to par during a global crisis, which is only in The Guardian. This story was covered by The Guardian, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 24 of 43. Westpac CEO Anthony Miller warns of Australian recession risks amid inflation and geopolitical tensions. Westpac CEO Anthony Miller warns of Australian recession risks amid inflation and geopolitical tensions. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Anthony Miller, Westpac CEO, warned Australia could slide into a recession due to inflationary pressures and global tensions, stating there is a chance in interviews with ABC and Newscomau, March 2026. The Reserve Bank of Australia, RBA, raised the official cash rate from 3.85% to 4.10% in March 2026, marking the second hike in 2 months, Newscomau and ABC. Westpac and other major Australian banks increased fixed mortgage rates by 0.45 percentage points in March 2026, with NAB offering the lowest fixed rate at 6.04% for a 1-year term, Newscomau. Inflation in Australia rose 3.7% in February 2026, down 0.1% from January but still above the RBA's 2.5% target, ABC. Westpac's chief economist Lucy Ellis forecast 3 more RBA rate hikes by August 2026, ABC and Newscomau. But not all outlets told the same story. Newscomau states Oxford Economics warned Brent oil could peak at $190 by August 2026, but ABC does not mention this specific oil price forecast. Newscomau implies Miller's comment about another rate hike returning to 2025 levels refers to the cash rate being 4.35%, while ABC does not explicitly state this number in Miller's quote. ABC reports inflation rose 3.7% in February 2026, down 0.1% from January, but Newscomau does not mention the month-over-month change or the 0.1% decrease. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 25 of 43. 13-year-old girl charged in Melbourne's anti-Semitic crime spree involving stolen vehicles and assaults. 13-year-old girl charged in Melbourne's anti-Semitic crime spree involving stolen vehicles and assaults. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A 13-year-old girl from Melbourne's Bayside area was charged with 52 offences on the 26th of March, 2024, including multiple car thefts, hit-and-runs, and anti-Semitic conduct. The girl allegedly drove a stolen black Hyundai sedan in Hampton, Raponnea, and Caulfield between 25 to 28 March, shouting anti-Semitic remarks and throwing eggs at pedestrians. On the 28th of March at 7 p.m., the Hyundai allegedly swerved toward Jewish families crossing Hotham Street and Glen Eira Road in Raponnea, narrowly missing them. A 45-year-old cyclist was hit by a stolen silver SUV in Brighton on the 25th of March, suffering non-life-threatening injuries. The driver fled the scene. A stolen white Volkswagen Golf allegedly rammed an e-scooter in Elwood just after midnight on the 26th of March, with passengers threatening victims before being stopped by police using stop sticks. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC and Thege both mention the cyclist sister's name as Brooke, but only Thege includes her direct quote about her brother's trauma. No contradictions in core facts, all sources agree on dates, locations, charges, and key incidents. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and The Age. Story 26 of 43. Australian PM Albanese's housing tax reforms and energy crisis response amid Iran war tensions. Australian PM Albanese's housing tax reforms and energy crisis response amid Iran war tensions. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese plans to wind back the capital gains tax discount and negative gearing to address housing affordability. Labour aims to build 1.2 million homes but is on track to miss this target. Albanese's government is rebuilding Australia's fuel stocks, which are below global standards, over 90% depleted. Albanese adopted the coalition's policy to cut the fuel excise in response to rising fuel prices. Opposition leader Angus Taylor criticised Albanese's televised address, calling it lacking in answers and leadership. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 27 of 43. Australian study links vaping to lung and oral cancer risk. Australian study links vaping to lung and oral cancer risk. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A new Australian review led by researchers from the University of New South Wales, UNSW, found nicotine-containing vapes are likely to cause lung and oral cancers, based on evidence from 2017 to 2025. The review analysed mouse studies, human biomarker studies, oxidative stress, epigenetic changes, inflammation, and case reports, including a 19-year-old man with oral cancer linked to vaping. Australia's federal government strengthened vaping legislation in 2024 to restrict sales to pharmacies for smoking cessation or nicotine dependence management only. Black market vapes in Australia often contain nicotine despite misleading labels, according to Alexander Larcombe of Curtin University. The review did not establish a definitive epidemiological link between vaping and cancer but noted biological markers, DNA damage, inflammation, associated with cancer risk. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states Dr. Stewart called the review by far the strongest evidence that vapes cause cancer, while The Guardian frames it as early warning signs without definitive proof of risk magnitude. The Guardian notes Professor Duffy argued vaping is not as harmful as smoking due to absence of combustion products, but ABC's Dr. Larcombe explicitly called all vapes, even nicotine-free, definitely not safe. ABC reports Dr. Stewart suggested definitive proof of vaping's cancer link may take decades, but The Guardian's Cochrane implies policymakers should act urgently to avoid dismissing warnings like those for smoking. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 28 of 43. Impact of RBA surcharge ban on Qantas points earnings and alternatives. Impact of RBA surcharge ban on Qantas points earnings and alternatives. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Debit and credit surcharges were banned nationwide on October 1, 2023. Interchange fees for credit cards were slashed 63% from 0.8% to 0.3% as compensation for merchants. The Reserve Bank previously reduced interchange fees in 2017, leading to reduced points earn rates, some by up to a half, and capped sign-up bonuses. Qantas Health Insurance offers 140,000 Qantas points for new customers signing up by April 9, 2024. Everyday Rewards at Woolworths, Big W, and BWS converts points to Qantas at a 2-to-1 ratio. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 29 of 43. Desi Freeman manhunt, arrest of associates, and investigation into his survival on the run. Desi Freeman manhunt, arrest of associates, and investigation into his survival on the run. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Desi Freeman, born Desmond Philby, was shot dead by Victoria Police on Monday, April 1, 2026, at a property in Thollagolong, Victoria, after a 3-hour standoff. Freeman was on the run for 216 days following the fatal shooting of Detective Leading Senior Constable Neil Thompson, 59, and Senior Constable Vadim de Wart-Hottet, 35, on August 26, 2025, during a search warrant execution at his Pawpunka property. Freeman was found hiding in a converted shipping container on a remote property in Thollagolong, approximately 150 kilometers northeast of Pawpunka. Freeman emerged from the container wrapped in a blanket and brandished a firearm, a stolen Victorian police-issued Smith & Wesson semi-automatic pistol, before being shot more than 20 times by police officers from the Special Operations Group. 2 associates of Freeman, a man and a woman, were arrested on April 4, 2026, at separate properties in northeast Victoria as part of the ongoing investigation into his movements. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and ABC both report Freeman's sister was anonymous and expressed shame over his actions, but The Guardian emphasizes her estrangement from Freeman while the ABC focuses on her grief and disbelief. The Guardian states Freeman's wife Marley Freeman released a statement urging him to surrender, but The Age reports that the Office of Public Prosecutions found insufficient evidence to charge her over obstructing the investigation. The Guardian and ABC both report Freeman's death was a shock to his family, but The Guardian highlights Freeman's wife and children's grief, while the ABC focuses on Freeman's son Koara's social media post criticizing community reactions. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 30 of 43. Deontay Wilder vs Derek Chisora final fight and Chisora's boxing career end. Deontay Wilder vs Derek Chisora final fight and Chisora's boxing career end. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Derek Chisora fought his 50th and final professional bout against Deontay Wilder on Saturday, June 29, 2024, at the O2 Arena in London. Wilder won the fight via split decision with scores of 115 to 111, 112 to 115, and 115 to 113. Chisora was knocked down once in the 8th round but beat the count and survived to the final bell. Wilder was deducted a point in the 8th round for holding Chisora. Chisora's record entering the fight was 36-14-1, 23 KOs, and Wilder's was the 1st of April, 45, 43 KOs. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Wilder was the WBC champion when Joshua held the WBA, IBF, and WBO belts, but Article 3 does not mention Wilder's championship status at that time. Article 2 claims Wilder was a shell of the fighter he once had been after losing to Joseph Parker and Zhilei Zhang in 2024, while Article 1 does not mention Wilder's recent losses to these fighters. Article 1 reports Wilder said "I want you to kill me" to Chisora in 2018, but Article 3 does not reference this quote. This story was covered by The Guardian. Story 31 of 43. 20-year-old man accused of planning WA terror attacks faces bail hearing. 20-year-old man accused of planning WA terror attacks faces bail hearing. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Jason Joseph Michaels, 20, is accused of plotting a terrorist attack targeting Parliament House, police headquarters, and mosques in Perth, WA, following a raid on his parents' Bindoon home in February 2024. Police seized a written manifesto, dozens of rounds of ammunition, 900-plus guns, and knives during the raid at Michael's Bindoon home, located 75 kilometers northeast of Perth. Michaels allegedly researched mosque entry points, door locks, and attack timings, and consulted extremist white supremacist manifestos and online forums. Michael's diary contained plans for a day of justice, including references to making weapons, e.g., 3D printed gun, body armor, researching explosives, and comparing his plans to the Bondi beach attack, December 2023. Magistrate Belinda Coleman refused bail, describing Michael's diary as disturbing and not just ramblings, and noting he had researched explosives and firearm construction online. But not all outlets told the same story. News Kamau states Michaels allegedly practiced picking locks in his bedroom, but this detail is not mentioned in The Guardian or ABC. The Guardian describes Michael's plans as worse than the Bondi Beach mass shootings with direct comparisons in his diary, while News Kamau frames his references to Bondi as part of a broader grandiose fantasy without emphasizing superiority. ABC mentions Michaels may require an autism assessment, a claim not raised by News Kamau or The Guardian. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 32 of 43. International coalition meeting to reopen Strait of Hormuz amid Iran blockade. International coalition meeting to reopen Strait of Hormuz amid Iran blockade. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A virtual meeting of 35 to 40 countries, including Australia, UK, France, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Japan, Canada, South Korea, New Zealand, UAE, Nigeria, was held on the 29th of March, 2024 to discuss reopening the Strait of Hormuz, excluding the US. Foreign Minister Penny Wong represented Australia at the meeting, which was convened by UK Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper. The Strait of Hormuz carries 15 to 25% of the world's seaborne oil and gas supplies, with 1,000 to 2,000 ships and 20,000 seafarers currently stranded due to Iran's partial blockade. Australia has deployed an E-7 Wedgetail surveillance aircraft to the UAE, contributing to Gulf defense efforts. Donald Trump publicly stated that securing the Strait of Hormuz was not America's responsibility and urged allies to go get your own oil. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC and News Corp Australia report Australia may have deployed -90 SAS operatives to the Middle East, but the government denies offensive action and only confirms defense support for Gulf partners. The Guardian states Iran has laid mines in the strait, while ABC does not mention mines but focuses on Iran's partial blockade and attacks on vessels. Donald Trump's claim that Iran offered a ceasefire was denied by Iran's parliament head, per News Corp Australia, though Trump's tweet was widely reported. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 33 of 43. Australian government's gambling advertising reforms and public reaction. Australian government's gambling advertising reforms and public reaction. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Anthony Albanese announced gambling advertising reforms on April 4, 2026, during a National Press Club address in Canberra. The reforms include capping TV gambling ads to a maximum of 3 per hour between 6 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. Gambling ads will be banned during school pickup and drop-off times on radio broadcasts. All gambling ads will be banned in sports venues, on player uniforms, and during live sports broadcasts between 6 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. Online gambling ads will be restricted to verified users over 18 with opt-out options. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian, Article 3, states the Albanese government's reforms fall short of the Murphy Report's recommendations, while News Kamau claims the reforms are the most significant that has ever been implemented. The Guardian, Article 3, mentions the former Communications Minister Michelle Rowland proposed a TV ad cap of 2 ads per hour until 10 p.m, but News Kamau only mentions a cap of 3 ads per hour until 8:30 p.m. The ABC, Article 1, suggests the announcement was strategically timed to avoid scrutiny, while News Kamau and The Guardian articles do not mention this aspect. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 34 of 43. U.S. Supreme Court hearing on Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship. U.S. Supreme Court hearing on Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump attended oral arguments at the U.S. Supreme Court on February 21, 2024, making him the first sitting president to do so. The Supreme Court heard arguments over whether Trump's executive order could strip birthright citizenship from children born in the U.S. to undocumented immigrants or temporary residents. The 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause was affirmed by the Supreme Court in United States v. Wong Kim Ark 1898, and has been interpreted as granting birthright citizenship broadly for over 125 years. The Trump administration argues the phrase "subject to the jurisdiction thereof" in the 14th Amendment excludes children of undocumented immigrants or those with temporary status. The Migration Policy Institute estimated Trump's order would increase the unauthorized immigrant population by 2.7 million by 2045 and 5.4 million by 2075, based on 255,000 affected births annually. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Trump left the courtroom after the government's arguments concluded, while Article 2 does not specify his departure time but implies he remained for the full session. Article 1 emphasizes that a majority of justices remained skeptical of Trump's efforts, while Article 2 frames it as unclear how many justices might side with Trump without a definitive majority. Article 1 does not mention Trump's public statements about other countries selling citizenships or his stupid court remark, which Article 2 includes. This story was covered by The Guardian. Story 35 of 43. Sam Kerr's potential transfer from Chelsea FC to Denver Summit in the NWSL. Sam Kerr's potential transfer from Chelsea FC to Denver Summit in the NWSL. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Sam Kerr is linked to a move from Chelsea FC to the NWSL's Denver Summit club. Network 10 reported Kerr has signed with Denver Summit after 6 seasons at Chelsea. Kerr's contract with Chelsea expires at the end of the 2023-24 Women's Super League season. Kerr posted on Snapchat denying the move. "Don't believe everything you read in the media, man. They know a decision before me." Kerr is 32 years old and has scored 110 goals in 153 appearances for Chelsea since 2019. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC mentions Kerr had a goal assist in Chelsea's 1-0 win over Arsenal in the Champions League quarter-final, but The Guardian does not specify this detail. The Guardian states Chelsea's Champions League exit now looks like being Kerr's last chance at winning women's football's biggest club prize, while ABC does not frame it as a missed opportunity. ABC emphasizes Denver Summit's ambitious nature and coup potential for the club, while The Guardian focuses more on the club's ownership and attendance record without framing it as a coup. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 36 of 43. U.S. President Trump's threats against Iran over Strait of Hormuz closure and military escalation in Middle East war. U.S. President Trump's threats against Iran over Strait of Hormuz closure and military escalation in Middle East war. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump issued a 48-hour deadline, ending Tuesday 8 p.m. Eastern Time, for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face attacks on power plants and bridges, using expletive-laden language on Truth Social, mentioned in Articles 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Iran's Strait of Hormuz has been effectively closed since the US and Israel launched war on Iran on February 28, causing global oil prices to spike, Articles 1, 2, 4, 6. 2 U.S. pilots were rescued after their F-15E fighter jet was shot down in Iran's Khuzestan province on Friday, Articles 2, 3, 5, 7. Iran offered a $91,000 bounty for the capture of the missing U.S. pilot, with Iranian media reporting villagers and tribesmen searching for him, Articles 2, 3. The B-1 bridge between Tehran and Karaj was destroyed in a U.S.-Israeli strike on Thursday, killing at least 8 people and injuring 95, Articles 1, 4, 6. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Trump's deadline was initially Monday but shifted to Tuesday, Article 1, while news.com.au and ABC state the deadline was set at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, Articles 2, 4, 5, 7. The Guardian claims Trump has extended deadlines at least twice, Article 6, but ABC and news.com.au do not mention prior extensions beyond the current 48-hour ultimatum, Articles 2, 3, 4. The Guardian reports Iran has not entered peace talks despite messages being passed, Article 6, while ABC notes mediators from Pakistan, Turkey, and Egypt are still working to bring the US and Iran back to the negotiating table, Article 7. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 37 of 43. Barbie Dream Fest event scandal and fan backlash over underdelivered experiences. Barbie Dream Fest event scandal and fan backlash over underdelivered experiences. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The event was called Barbie Dream Fest and took place in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, over a weekend in 2024. Tickets ranged from $69 ABC, $US $69 100, to $449 ABC, US $449 655, or $452.50, Guardian, pound $54.72 to pound $54 452.50, for the Dream Pass. The event was organized by Mischief Management, which licensed the Barbie brand from Mattel. Attendees reported receiving a swag bag containing only a plastic hairbrush and Barbie-themed hand sanitizer. The life-sized Barbie Dreamhouse was described as a cheap backdrop with a picnic table on fake turf by attendees from both sources. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states the event was held in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, while The Guardian does not specify the exact location but implies it is in the US, no contradiction in location, but ABC is more precise. ABC lists the exact ticket prices as US $69 100, Day Pass, and US $449 655, Dream Pass, while The Guardian lists $72, 54 pounds, for a one-day pass and $452.50 for the Dream Pass, no contradiction, as both sources align on the range but use different currency conversions. ABC mentions the event was not refundable initially but changed during the event, while The Guardian does not mention the initial policy but only reports that refunds were issued. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 38 of 43. Fair Work Commission abolishes junior pay rates for 18 to 20-year-olds in Australia. Fair Work Commission abolishes junior pay rates for 18 to 20-year-olds in Australia. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Fair Work Commission abolished junior pay rates for workers aged 18 and over in retail, fast food, and pharmacy sectors. Around 500,000 young Australians will benefit from the wage increase, according to ABS data and union estimates. Workers aged 20 were previously paid 90% of the adult rate, 19-year-olds 80%, and 18-year-olds 70% under junior pay rates. The changes apply to the General Retail Industry Award, Fast Food Industry Award, and Pharmacy Industry Award. The wage adjustments will be phased in over 4 years, with the first changes starting in December 2024. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian mentions employer groups argued overhauling junior pay rates would deter hiring, but ABC does not explicitly state this concern in its headline or summary. The ABC notes Woolworths provides about 1 in 8 Australians with their first job, while The Guardian does not provide this specific statistic. The Guardian specifies a 6-month employment requirement to receive the adult rate, But this detail is not mentioned in the ABC or SBS articles. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and SBS News. Story 39 of 43. Israel's parliament approves death penalty for Palestinians convicted of lethal attacks. Israel's parliament approves death penalty for Palestinians convicted of lethal attacks. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Israel's parliament passed a law making the death penalty by hanging the default punishment for Palestinians in the West Bank convicted of fatal attacks or terrorism, Guardian 1, Guardian 2, ABC. The law applies only to Palestinians in the West Bank, not Israeli citizens or Palestinians in Gaza, Guardian 2, ABC. Itamar Ben-Gvir, Israel's far-right national security minister, was a key backer of the bill and wore a noose-shaped lapel pin during debates, Guardian 2, ABC. The legislation requires executions to occur within 90 days of sentencing, Guardian 2, ABC. The bill was condemned by the EU, UN experts, and rights groups like Amnesty International and B'Tselem, Guardian 1, Guardian 2, ABC. But not all outlets told the same story. Guardian 1 describes the law as part of a systematic genocide and dehumanization of Palestinians, while Guardian 2 and ABC frame it as a discriminatory but legally distinct punishment for Palestinians in the West Bank. Guardian 1 claims the law is normalized in Israeli society with no opposition, but ABC reports that Israeli rights groups like the Association of Civil Rights in Israel have already petitioned the Supreme Court to challenge it. Guardian 2 states the bill was amended by a security committee before passing, while ABC does not mention this amendment process explicitly. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 40 of 43. Victorian government expands device ban in schools to include smartwatches, headphones, and all school types. Victorian government expands device ban in schools to include smartwatches, headphones, and all school types. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Victoria will ban mobile phones, smartwatches, with notifications, internet, or recording functions, and headphones in all public, Catholic, and private schools starting January 27, 2027. Mobile phones have been banned in Victorian public schools since 2020, with the policy expanded to non-government schools in 2027. Education Minister Ben Carroll stated the phone ban in public schools improved student focus, learning, behavior, and socialization. Smartwatches banned under the new policy must not have notifications, internet connectivity, or recording functions enabled during school hours. Exceptions for devices will apply for students needing them to monitor health conditions. But not all outlets told the same story. News Kamau states the ban will apply to all schools from January 27, 2027, while Thij mentions the ban will start in Term 1 of 2027, no specific date. Thij reports the government will unveil new legislation on Wednesday, but News Kamau states the announcement was made on Wednesday morning. ABC reports Parents Victoria supports the ban but advocates for student-led consultation, while News Kamau and Thij do not mention this specific concern. This story was covered by ABC News, news.com.au, and The Age. Story 41 of 43. Australia's fuel excise cuts and price relief amid Middle East conflict-driven price spikes. Australia's fuel excise cuts and price relief amid Middle East conflict-driven price spikes. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Australia halved the fuel excise on petrol and diesel by 26.3 cents per litre starting April 1, 2024, effective until June 30, 2024, Articles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The excise cut was announced by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Treasurer Jim Chalmers as part of cost of living relief due to soaring fuel prices caused by the Iran conflict, Articles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. State and territory leaders agreed to an additional 5.7 cent per litre excise cut using GST windfall revenue, bringing the total reduction to 32 cents per litre, Articles 5, 11, 12. Average petrol prices in capital cities dropped by 12.7 to 25 cents per litre within days of the excise cut, with Sydney's average falling to $2.36 to $2.44 per litre, Articles 2, 3, 4, 12, 13. Treasurer Jim Chalmers warned the full 26.3-cent excise cut would take somewhere between 1 and 2 weeks to fully flow through to retail prices due to existing fuel stock, Articles 1, 3, 4, 9, 10. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1, News Kamau, states Treasurer Jim Chalmers warned the full excise cut would take somewhere between 1 and 2 weeks, while Article 3, ABC, and Article 4, ABC, report prices began dropping within days, sometimes immediately, contradicting the initial delay claim. Article 7, News Kamau, claims a construction company owner called the excise cut crumbs and a pittance, while Article 12, Guardian, and Article 13, Guardian, highlight significant price drops of 16 to 25 cents per litre, suggesting broader relief beyond skepticism. Article 1, News Kamau, mentions NSW Premier Chris Minns proposing an additional 10-cent excise cut via GST windfall, but Article 11, ABC, states the final GST deal resulted in a 5.7-cent cut, not 10 cents. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 42 of 43. Sydney gym shooting investigation with 3 charged men. Sydney gym shooting investigation with 3 charged men. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A shooting occurred outside a gym on Steer Road, Gregory Hills, Sydney's southwest at 8:30 a.m. on December 5, 2025. 2 masked men fired 12 shots at a 48-year-old man outside the gym. He escaped uninjured. The shooters fled in a red Range Rover SUV with cloned number plates, later found abandoned in bushland near Macquarie Grove Road, Cobbitty. Police recovered clothing, masks, cloned number plates, and 2 pistols from the bushland near the ditched car. A 40-year-old man was charged with shooting with intent to murder and knowingly directing a criminal group, arrested in Parramatta. But not all outlets told the same story. News Kamau does not mention the alleged target's name, Stephen Hallaby, as reported by ABC. ABC specifies the 32-year-old was charged with contribute criminal activity, while News Kamau does not include this charge. News Kamau states the 38-year-old was arrested on Tuesday and set to face bail division court on Wednesday, but ABC does not specify the exact date for the 38-year-old's court appearance. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 43 of 43. US-Iran war escalation and Trump's threats against Iran's energy infrastructure. US-Iran war escalation and Trump's threats against Iran's energy infrastructure. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump threatened to obliterate Iran's electric generating plants, oil wells, Karg Island, and possibly all desalinization plants if a ceasefire deal is not reached by April 6, 2024, Guardian, ABC. Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghaei stated US peace proposals were excessive, unrealistic, and irrational, Guardian, ABC. Iran acknowledged receiving a 15-point proposal from the Trump administration after talks between foreign ministers of Pakistan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey, Guardian, ABC. Israel and the US launched a new wave of strikes on Iran, while Iran struck a water electrical plant in Kuwait and an oil refinery in Israel, Guardian. Thousands of US troops, including 2,500 Marines, have arrived in the Middle East, with additional forces building capacity for potential future operations, ABC, Guardian. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Trump's threat includes possibly all desalinization plants, while ABC does not mention desalinization plants in its summary of Trump's threat. The Guardian states Trump's preference is to take the oil in Iran, which analysts link to seizing Karg Island, but ABC does not explicitly mention this preference or its implications. The Guardian highlights Trump's proposal to ask Arab countries to fund the war, which ABC does not reference at all. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian.